All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to WECU 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, Christian Radio, and also known as Alton Radio. And it's a pleasure to have you guys watching today. Um, very interesting, interesting political season here, and we'd like to invite you to stay with the station as we have our political forums and in and throughout the community. Today, we are uh, interviewing Mr. Alex Joyner, and he is of Farmville, and he's running for mayor. And without further delay, I'm going to go ahead and introduce him. Once again, I'm Coach Vernon Garrison, and thank you guys for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Mr. Alex Joyner. And my first question to you, Mr. Joyner, is tell us a little about yourself and what brought you to Farmville, North Carolina.
Absolutely. And first and foremost, Coach Garrison, thank you so much for having me on an awesome radio and the Christian
Hmm.
Network here. It is a privilege to come and speak to your audience here. So very grateful for you and this opportunity here. So my name is Alex Joyner, and I'm running for mayor of Farmville. While I'm not born and raised here in Farmville, I grew up right down the street in Lucama, North Carolina, a short 20-minute drive from Farmville. I was adopted at a very young age by my parents, Sandra and Eddie Joyner, born and raised in Lucama, and then decided to move to Boston to go to school at Boston University there, spend some time there. I actually spent 16 years living just right outside of Boston in a town called Somerville. And then about 3.5 years ago, decided I needed to move back to North Carolina to be a little bit closer to my parents. They're 78 and 80. So sometimes you need to be within arm's reach of them in case they are in need of support and things like that. So when we were looking at places to move back down here around the Eastern North Carolina area, one of my best friends from high school, she lived here in the town of Farmville, and she said, instead of renting somewhere and spending money on that, why don't you move in with me, save some money, and then save money for a house. So in July of 2022, I moved in with my friend Jamie and started to become, that was when I was a resident here at Farmville, started to meet the neighbors, get to know the community, and absolutely fell in love with the town of Farmville and its people. We had originally intended to move closer to the Raleigh area, but it wasn't very long before we knew that we wanted to put our roots here, right, in Farmville. So we started, putting out the word that we were looking for a house. And someone told another person, and it just kind of made that chain reaction. And we were able to find a seller for a house right down the street from where we had been living. And so Farmville became our chosen home. So since then, I have been out in the community trying to find ways that I can help and support. And so it's just been an incredible ride. And then somehow I fell into wanting to run here for the mayor of Farmville. So that's a little bit about me and what kind of got me here.
Okay, great. Now deciding to run for mayor, now that's a big step. Would you agree?
Without question.
Yeah, yeah, no doubts. So, what made you decide to run for office in the town of Farmville?
So, the funny story is I initially was going to run for town commissioner. There are two open seats here in the town of Farmville for this election. And I started taking classes with the North Carolina League of Conservation Voters back at the very beginning of this year. And what they do is that they train candidates who are looking to either sit on a board or run for office with some of the basics of being an official, things like Robert's Rule of Order and really connecting you. So my initial goal was to be a town commissioner. As the time got closer to the election sign-up deadline, it came apparent that there was no one running against our current mayor. And I decided, you know what, if no one else is going to step up to the plate, I'm more than happy to do that, because I do think that we need change here. Since I have lived here, I've had the privilege of working with Meals on Wheels and going out and meeting some of our residents out there. And one of the things that I heard loud and clear from some of our residents is they don't feel like they have a voice within our government. And so they don't participate in anything that our government does. To hear that we've tried, we've given our opinion, we've raised our concerns, but no one cares. That cut deep, to know that people don't feel like Farmville is there for them and protects them. So continuing to feel and hear that there was this division between Farmville. Farmville is a very, I would say, stereotypical type of town where you have North Farmville, you have South Farmville, and they are divided by a set of railroad tracks. And you can visibly tell that difference when you cross over the tracks from one to another. The disparity is very clear in the way that the roads are kept. The sidewalks are kept up, if at all. We have abandoned houses over there where it looks, they're falling down. There's weeds, there's bushes, things like that. So that wasn't the Farmville that I saw on the north side of town. So I knew that there was an opportunity to be able to do better over there and make sure that everyone was treated equally. I also had the opportunity to read the 2023 Farmville audit, which was quite eye-opening for me. The state of North Carolina came in and did an audit and really unveiled some troubling ways and things that had happened within our government, some bad business deals, some really poor financial decisions that our government had made that had cost our town quite a bit of money. And I continue to say we can do better than this. While I'm not a politician, I want to fight and serve for the people and serve the people. So this is where I said, you know what? I think that at least I can make a difference. I think that we can take the traditions that Farmville and this community have built, and we can do better.
Some may say now that you haven't held a political office or uh, held an elected official office before. So, what experience would you say qualifies you for mayor? Because you went right into the audit thing, and that's pretty heavy. I got a couple more questions about that as well, but
Yeah. Well, that seems to be the big buzz. What experience do you have? And while I've never been an officially elected an elected official, I have, when I was younger, held a couple of smaller offices. I was at Boys State when I was in high school, and was the mayor of our city there. I was also the vice president of our high school course. So I've had some smaller little titles there, but not at a municipality level here. So first and foremost, like I talked about last time, the training. I knew that I wanted to be an elected official, and so putting in the work to learn how the government runs, Robert's Rules of Orders, all these sorts of things, and really building that network. I've been working on this for 8 to 12 months to position me to be successful at this moment now. I also, in my regular role, I work for a company called Avantor. We do supply chain management for pharmaceutical manufacturing companies. I was initially a project manager there for the first 4 years. The past 4.5 years, I have been a product manager there. And what this has given me the opportunity to do is to negotiate with pharmaceutical companies globally on different contracts that are quite extensive and exceed, even the budget here of Farmville. Also, I have worked on implementations and led implementations as a project manager and product manager that far exceeded the $21 million budget that Farmville has. So I knew that I had the skills to be able to understand a budget, work within those limits, and also bring together, groups of people, stakeholders. Some of our implementations are, 100 plus stakeholders, and you have to make all of them happy. So being able to bring people together, find those common threads that we all agree on, and just really deliver on time and in full. So I knew that those skill sets were there. And even though I had not officially had an elected job here, or I wasn't an elected official, those skill sets still transfer right over here.
Let me ask you this. I don't want to get too deep into the weeds here, but it begs now in today's climate and political action figures, if you will, no disrespect to those who are running. What type of character do you believe it takes to 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 achieve those things that you just mentioned? Very impressive skill set, by the way. What type of character, conflict resolution skills is very, very important. But what type of character, making reference to types of ethics or types of methods of disagreeing, but what type of whole, wholesome character do you carry that makes you take these skill sets internationally, as you just mentioned? What are the people of Farmville getting from you if they elect you?
Absolutely. So honesty and integrity. I think when you lead every step of the way with honesty and integrity, you can't go wrong. That is one of the things, and to be able to be transparent about, the actions that you are taking and the reasons why our government is making certain decisions, it helps to build those relationships. I think that is another thing that I am, very strongly skilled at, building strong, lasting relationships where people trust and respect what I do and my opinion. And they know that everyone has a seat at my table. It's funny, being a project manager, I am the subject matter expert and master of none, but I know enough about a lot of things to be dangerous. And more importantly, I know that network of people who are those subject matter experts. And that is why every time that there is a project, an implementation, any initiative like that, every one of those people has a seat at the table. And when you bring in that whole collective team and group, you can never fail. So I
But
think that ability to bring those people together, bring that integrity and honesty, and provide as much transparency as possible truly sets you up to win.
now it's time to go to work. You sound very charismatic um, and inviting and approachable as well. So I'm going to approach you with this question. We're going to go to work and we're going to check out your approach to this issue. You mentioned the audit that was conducted. I think we got about 15 minutes or so. Can you give us an overview? But the main thing I'm looking for is, what do you see that was most troubling out of this audit? But let us know who conducted the audit and how much you know about it, well, in a basic way. But I'd like for you to define the problem and give me a serious answer as to what's going wrong, and then maybe you could say how you might fix it.
So in early 2023, the state of North Carolina was alerted to some potential financial mismanagement by the government here in Farmville. And so the North Carolina auditor came in and did a full investigation. And the findings were pretty bleak. There were a couple of different accounts there, and I'll kind of walk you through them. So first, the town has lost almost $500,000 of taxpayer money through bad business deals. The first would be the trading of our current fire station with a empty piece of property that is now where we've just broken ground recently, and our new fire station will be built. So in 2019, our town commissioners voted to make that property exchange. And at that time, the town manager chose to ignore the appraisal that was on the current fire station on Main Street, and say that $485,000 appraisal was too much. And so he listed it as $325,000. And again, the town manager had no experience, no training, any authority to really make any sort of appraisal like this. Also, the piece of property that was being exchanged for it, he identified that property as being at an appraisal of $250,000. That property has later and now been appraised at $122,000. So from that transaction alone, the town of Farmville lost $268,000 And to me, from a group of leaders who call themselves some of the best businessmen here, that is a significant miss. That just doing your bare due diligence of having official and multiple appraisals, which should be the bare minimum, would have caught this issue. The second one, where we lost quite a bit of money, when we decided that we were going to build a new library, we needed a temporary place to hold that library and the books. So we worked with the landlord of the depot, and we made a trade with him to say that for 18 months, without having to officially pay rent, he would allow us to use that facility. And then in trade for that, we would pay to have that parking lot paved. So without any service estimates, the town commissioners at that time decided that they would say yes to that, and they approved that without any sort of do not exceed costs, or again, having that official estimate for that service. Later, we found out that that cost us $330,000, which ended up saying that we paid $18,000 a month for rent on a place, and that was $12,000 above what any of the highest market value cost around here would be. So we lost around $216,000 right there. That is hard cash. Going back to the fire department, one of the other big issues there, outside of the money that was lost, is the fact that we no longer own a fire department. If the landlord of that facility was to tell us to get out, the residents in the town of Farmville would be in trouble, because we would have to rely on other cities to come and other towns to come in to support us.
Excuse me, sir. Pardon the interruption here. So, are you alleging one of the two here, or perhaps three? Because I want you to go on record, and I wasn't aware of anything that you just mentioned. Uh, are you alleging mismanagement of funds, or you alleging just some bad business practices, uh, for lack of better words, in the city government, or between those two, uh, are you alleging any corruption? Just make it plain. Do you feel that there's corruption, or you feel like it could just be done better?
I think at a minimum, that these are really poor business deals that our town decided to get into, that did not have the data and the information needed to be able to make these decisions by our town commissioners. I want to stay focused on what the facts of that audit says. I don't want to speculate too much on potential corruption, but I mean, that's a lot of money that is continuing to go into the same person's pocket. The beneficiary of both of those deals was the same individual. So, I do think that there could be concerns there, but we want to stay focused on the facts and what the audit there says.
Okay. Well, I thank you for handling that question, and perhaps the audience is satisfied um, with your answer. And if they're not, I'm sure they'll be able to contact you as you close out this interview here shortly. All right. Well, now let's go for some of the recommendations and improvements. What are you bringing to the table, sir? This is a time where you got to have the swag, you got to have the charisma to lead people. And what are you bringing to Farmville, and what would you be focused on your first term?
Thank you. So I think that one of the things that we are lacking here, that we absolutely have to be focused on coming right out of the gate, is these long-term strategic plans. My focus, and I look at three different pillars here. One is our infrastructure. One is our business community, and the other is our finances. We have no long-term 15 to 20-year plans here for any of these areas. So this is where you see our town continues to collect debt, and really we're digging that hole, and we cannot put down the shovel. We can't even find the finances and get the loans to be able to fully pay off the fire department that we
How
need.
would are you verifying this information as fact? That they don't have a substantial plans for going forward to the future, and I'm hearing you state facts about financial healthiness of this community. How are you getting this information?
So one is the budget. Everyone has access to go and see the budget that we have here. The second is meet with our officials. I've met with our current town manager, and he was the first one to say we do not currently have any long-term plans in place. But he is in the process of now putting in a long-term 15 to 20-year plan for our capital expenditures. That's not it. We also need to be planning for our infrastructure, roads, sidewalks, things like that, because our town is growing and we need to be able to make sure that our infrastructure is able to keep up with that. The other thing is with our capital expenditures, we are really shooting from the hip every time that a financial need comes up. So we are out there looking for loans, constantly asking for money. And right now, both the state of North Carolina and also Pitt County has refused to give us any money to this date for the fire station. So I think that we have some relationship problems there that we need to work on as well, so that the state and the county both can rebuild their confidence in us that we do have financial stewardship here in the town of Farmville.
Okay, great. Now, I guess we'll say, what are some political lessons, or what are some of the lessons you've come to realize with Farmville, the climate of Farmville politics? What are some of the things that you've realized and you've accepted or you're rejecting?
Uh, I'll be honest on the first one. Politics can be brutal, even at a local municipal level. The people's true colors can come out. And, in today's world with online social media, it's really easier for these keyboard warriors to get down there and kind of talk about people's character instead of the politics and the facts and things like that. It's very easy to focus on that when you're sitting behind a screen. So, being able to put on that armor every day when you get up and say, you know what, I'm fighting for the people here of Farmville and we can do better. And that is what makes it completely worth it. On the complete opposite side and opposite hand there, the number of people that have come out of the woodwork here in Farmville to support and show just gratitude for someone stepping up and running to try to change Farmville. They knew it wasn't easy, and it has been overwhelming to see that sort of support. So I am incredibly grateful for every single one who has, reached out, shared their words of encouragement here, and said, "Let's keep fighting for this." And then last, I would say, every day is certainly worth fighting for the people of Farmville. Take a few minutes here, take a day, come here, meet some of the residents, listen to them, listen to their stories. And there is no question, all of this, the hours, the blood, sweat, and tears is worth every second of it when we can make everyone feel like one Farmville and like they belong here and that they're proud to call this town home.
All right, great. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Alex Joyner, Farmville mayor candidate, and perhaps we've done a decent job with letting him share his position and letting him share what he feels like he can do and bring to the citizens of Farmville. It's been a pleasure
Thank you.
with you, sir. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, WECU 107.5 FM, 1570 AM is Christian Radio. And we are Awesome Radio. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. Mr. Joyner, how can people contact you if they would like to respond, other than putting a comment on this platform? How can they contact you?
Absolutely. So we do have a Facebook page, Alex Joyner, Mayor Farmville, Alex Joyner Farmville NC, as well as on Instagram. You can contact and reach out to us there, as well as Alex Joyner Farmville NC Mayor at gmail.com. So please reach out. We've got We want to answer your questions, make sure that you understand what the platform is and what we're fighting for here in Farmville. And I hope that we have your vote and we can earn your respect, and that you come out on November 4th to vote for Alex Joyner, Mayor of Farmville.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. WECU 107.5, 1570 AM, Christian media with a spirit of excellence. You guys have a great rest of your day.